Hello, Beachweave. Hello, Charlotte. Hello, everyone who is here. I really wanted to come on to speak about the magnificence of these energies, even though they are exceptionally challenging. They're kind of bringing us through a new series. I want to say the codes that are coming in. I want to call them angelic codes, and they are doing two major things for everybody, but everyone will be receiving a different level of them depending on where you are in your journey of awakening. So one of the impacts of these energies is this deeper purification, and then another is this higher frequency coming in to enhance, to activate, and to bring back the multidimensional aspects of self. Hello, Rika. And who else is under here? And hi, Billy. Hi. Yeah, so interesting sort of kickoff to June, I have to say. It's to me, they have felt like brand new, and that's what I get that they are. I get that they're angelic. They kind of they show up as being like of feathery in their nature, and I think that we're in this kind of graceful rearrangement. So everybody's getting what they need in different orders and in different ways. And there's definitely the sense of the softness. There's a sense of, what will be the word, quiet apprehension. The masculine are feeling very churned up. Their world is falling apart, really. And so that's the masculine aspect of us. And this is the shifting of the balance anyway, the shifting of the balance, because we're all coming more into our emotional body, into our feminine aspects, into love, into the heart, generating our lives, our expectations, our creation from the heart in a new way. And I want to say all, it's not that I've spoken to all of the men, but I really feel that this is certainly applied to all of the men who I have spoken to over the past few days. I noticed that they are speaking from a different place. So yeah, I wrote about how I was feeling in no man's land, and it really was like that. I felt sort of untethered. I felt like I didn't really know what it was that I wanted. I wasn't propelled to do anything for at least a half a day. So it wasn't until later on in the day that I kind of even thought to write. And it was like I didn't have any words, and you would have seen the post that I made around that on the last day of May, feeling to sit in that in between space, in the liminal space, and it felt like a really nice kind of, it was a bit like being a bit of flotsam in the ocean, just sitting there and just seeing where the wind took me, where the tide took me, where the weather took me. And I really felt that was this day of more integration and readiness for what was to come. And that's what if you live in New Zealand, you understand this, but if you don't live in New Zealand, maybe you don't understand this, because we are 18 hours ahead of some places in the world, and in other places, I think we might be. I don't even know how this is possible, but I think we might be, or maybe it's during daylight saving. Maybe we're 25 hours ahead at some time, but the dawn, the sun, the opening of the day occurs here on our horizon first in the morning, and so we are in the energies, and and it's become more apparent to me, which may or may not be true, but it feels like it, that because we're little, so we harness this energy, and maybe we begin to integrate it, we begin to feel it, but it doesn't gain its momentum collectively until it becomes a more collective experience. So anyway, so I just wanted to explain that. So I think sometimes we're feeling the energies here, perhaps before while the rest of the world is awakening, and that was what I felt we were doing on the 31st. We were like preparing for the new in June, and yeah, preparation for a significant up-leveling is what I wrote. And yeah, for me, I wrote permission to do and be nothing, permission granted by myself to myself. And there was also some apathy. There was this sense of apathy around a bit of, I guess, unease in the stretch, a bit of, oh, who gives the toss now? Haven't we done this for long enough? That was definitely in the collective. I didn't feel that too personally, but that was what I read. And then when I banged into some people later in the day, they expressed that as well. But to me, come 9 p.m., I wrote this. I feel to take in a long, deep breath in preparation for the next leap upwards. So I feel that that's what we were doing. So for me, June will complete purification and release of all of the old systems and structures. And so I don't mean that the completion of the release of them will be complete. What I mean is the beginning of all of the release of the systems and structures. So that's in our bodies and that's in our world. So June is going to see, I believe, this occurrence in a very physical, tangible way. We'll see it, we'll witness it, we'll observe it. It won't just be that we'll see it psychically, we'll be seeing it in the physical. And then this releasing from the earth and from our body. So for us, that's releasing the program. So I've written in here, so, see this as an opportunity to be releasing any old wounds or traumas, any old patterns, paradigms, programs, anything around victimhood, around bullying, around times when you've been abandoned or abused, any sort of separation wounds as well. So you just be checking in with yourself around any of that comes up, because what I do believe is that we're releasing this back through time, space, and dimension, right back to the time perhaps when we first came to the earth. And then we can bring in and embody these higher codes, gifts, and our multidimensional talents and skills. So it's a big month for that. But I believe we're in the beginning of the release and the housing of the new. So that's within our systems on the earth and the systems in our body. So on that day when I connected into Gaia in the inner earth, showed up that like she was sitting there with many threads attached, sort of in her field or in her hands, if you like holding many balloons out to the outer of the earth. And it showed up as them being like extra senses was like she was driving everything from there. So an attachment to the outer, a feeling the vibrations through those, like riding a multi-dimensional wagon with many horses all going in different directions. And I wrote in here, like extra senses to what is occurring and an ability to pull on the cords to invoke change. So that was how I was showing that. The inner earth was a buzz, a hive of activity. And hi, Sephora, and hello, Barrett. Yes, good evening to you in Norway. Hello, Beachweed, feeling untethered for a few weeks now. Yes, and next leap upwards, Sephora said. I'm waking this morning, I got the message of energy codes incoming. Perfect. So you are also tuned in. It's amazing. And then, yeah, this is the other thing that came around that, the balance and the Giovanna. Lovely to have you here. Thank you. The balance points and equilibrium. It sounds wordy, so just feel into it, because this was a channeled message about it. The balance points and equilibrium tethers are under continued surveillance. There is a sense of great excitement at this point, and yet it's a serious job to be done. So if you can imagine that, if you can imagine like being the person who's tuning the instrument, and the instrument is earth, and you know that you're going to reach new notes, new heights, new sounds, new frequencies, that you're going to hear them, that it's going to delight your heart. It's that kind of, I guess that's a reasonable analogy. And this is a time for being in stillness of the heart, and yet finding fulfillment, peace and joy and laughter. And yes, new octaves. That's right. It showed up like that as well. It showed up like a new octave on the piano keys. And this metaphor, or this analogy of seeing yourself sitting at a keyboard, that is what has been showing up to me as a beautiful analogy for the groupings, the soul groupings and the twin dynamics. Is that, the octaves, they might be new octaves, but they're coming in, and this is the meeting of the souls, the meeting of the minds, the meeting of the frequencies. So as more of humanity climbs this ascension spiral, it has this morphing effect, this transformative, this transmigrational effect and impact on the collective. And that's what I really invite you to understand, is the impact that you as first wavers are having on the collective. It's like the moving of the ink on the wet absorbable paper that we've spoken about. It's like the 100th monkey effect. So through this act of healing, of clearing and dissolution of the old, the density shifts, and there becomes this greater recognition. It showed up as this greater recognition for everybody about not just truth, but like what is right, what is sort of absolutely right, what's true, what's correct, what's the north compass point here. And then that creates this new truth for us. So it's like we're having a refit, a reset, a rearrangement of not just of our codes, not just of our frequencies, but our beliefs, our programs, the things that we've had inculcated within us from the frequencies that have been placed into the earth that are not organic in their nature, by the programming that's come through the airwaves, through the media. And we are like freeing ourselves from those, I want to say, cutting the ties, cutting the tethers, ignoring the frequencies, because we are like not in the attunement framework of that. We don't resonate with the old notes. And then this impacts the rest. So it's like if you are one person in a group of 10, you might have a little bit of impact, and you might have in the short term, and a lot of impact over time. But now we're having this exponential impact, the first wave on the rest. And it's like, to me, it's like the second wave is already swept up in that, and the third wave is beginning to be impacted. So as more truth is revealed, there is this greater release from the cords that bind everybody to the old. And so these are the old programs, conditions, beliefs, the rules, the regulations, the structures, the legislation, all of those things. And then so that's one of the aspects that is happening. That's the other thing. There's so much happening on so many levels, in so many aspects. So this is becoming more crystalline. We are becoming more crystalline in our molecular structure, more liquid light. More of humanity is now making this recognition. So it really is like the awakening, the aha, the epiphanies. This idea that even if people don't really know exactly what to do to create the new, there's a disharmony, there's a displacement, there's a disenfranchisement with what has been presented. So more making the choice to create the new. There's first wavers are, I want to say, very vigilantly aware that we are in this honing our creative ability. This is our new practice, to be playing around with our creative ideas, with bringing things into fruition in our physical world, and claiming ourselves. So claiming who we are, recognizing that we are, of the gods, of the goddesses, of the priests, of the priestesses of old, that we are the magicians, the magi, that we come from that historical, authentic coding, and that we are here now to, I want to say, reinstate that all that's good and true and holy and sacred. And then we rise up. So this is our process. We are like pulling in the fifth dimensional codes, the light, the frequencies. We're pulling that down into here as we are rising up. We're merging, we're sandwiching it all. And I really want to remind you that one of the things that Gaia said to me ages ago was this, that as we rise to the fifth, the evil dissipates, the evil disappears, because the evil in our world, it cannot exist beyond the fourth. So we are moving up from the third up through the fourth as a bridge to the fifth. That's how I would state that. But the evil cannot come, it cannot exist in this higher frequency. So we are in process of creating our Edenic, or reclaiming our Edenic templates, paradise on earth. Okay. So you are becoming a new version of you, pulling in these higher aspects of self, becoming more crystalline, becoming more light-filled, more enhanced, higher in your gifts and abilities. And this coming into this. So what I want to say is we are in the beginning phase of this full embodiment of the higher. So we will do this over time, but this month a lot of sort of beginning foundational embodiment of the higher coding and of the multidimensional aspects of self into the body. So this is your higher self being embodied, your higher gifts, your higher talents being embodied, and this completion of a lot of this over the first few weeks of June. So it's like, I guess you could see it as the seeding, as the laying, the foundational laying in the physical over the first few weeks of June. And so you'll be recognizing maybe that you can do some things that you couldn't do before, that there's this, so I keep wanting to do that, but it's back to front. Never mind, my hair is not going to behave. Yes. So today showed up as like this sense of feeling a pressure building. I didn't know what it was, but I could feel it. I wasn't concerned about it because I know that we're in the receipt of the good and the higher, but I could really feel it. And I was saying to Lottie that it felt like I was sitting on an overhang, looking down a beach at these massive waves, and the wave was like curling over, and I was waiting so that when the wave crashed, I knew what it crashed on was going to be swept away. That was my whole sense of this energy that's building of today, that's what it's going to do. It's going to completely change things. And so when it tips, this is to do with the light that's coming from the sun, the solar emissions. Yes. So further infusion of this higher, finer, that's the other thing. So it's new, it's finer, and it's higher in its frequency, in its feel, and even in how it looks. And it's very fast spinning. So yeah, it also to me has and carries quite a lot of electrical aspects to it today. Hello, Chrissy NZ. Hi to you, and blessings and welcome. Right. So the other aspect that is really impacting the world is this feminine energy that's coming in. So the masculine are really in receipt of this as well. This is shifting our world. So it's moving into more of the feminine, into more of the nurturing, into more of the creative, into more of the softness, into more of that more open, more creative, more intuitive. That's where we're moving to as a collective, to be in this exploration. And that's what the masculine are in the process of, that greater exploration. So it has this feminine creative side that is going to be bringing that into the collective. Further activation also to the neural pathways. So we've been having a lot of activation in the right brain, which is the creative or the intuitive brain, and as have the masculine. And then the equivalent of the feminine heart, if you like, or the feminine energy in the heart. So it's this creativeness, it's this softness, it's this love, it's this emotional energy, a lot of crying as well. So there are a lot of beings in our world who are releasing what has been pent up, what has been held in the cells. And a lot of the men in our world, you will notice that they are more readily crying, and support them in that, hold space for them in that. Don't step into eagerly, just kind of sit and hold space for that. Yeah, so neural pathways and links for bringing in more creative ways of being and operating. And so this is where the masculine is going to shift things around in the world, as they will be leading from that aspect of self. And then it's not that the masculine are going to take over the leadership. It will be more cooperative, it will be more collaborative, but it will all be done from this feminine aspect. That will be our new way of being. And so it will be a greater shift for the masculine, and for the women or the feminine who are more in their masculine aspects. And certainly that's my old way of operating. I ran my classroom in some ways I ran it from a feminine perspective, and then in other places I ran it very much from the masculine perspective, that power over, that you do as you're told kind of attitude. And that wasn't my entire teaching career that I was like that, and it was some subjects required more of that than others. But this is the shift that we have probably made here, those of us here. We've dropped into more of that, into that creative, feminine, soft, allowing, surrendering aspect. And it's in this allowance really that we can, if you like, be more driven, guided by the divine, by what shows up right in front of us here. And that's what our new navigation is, I believe. So this present moment thinking and acting, this greater connection between the head and the heart through the third eye as well. So the third eye beginning to navigate through this intuition, this connection to the higher heart and throat. And this assimilation passageway, that's how this time has shown up. For each of us to be more acclimated to this way of being than ever before. So it's like a practice run. It's like we can be sitting in the idea of playing with that, of becoming more adept, more proficient with that. Because as we do that, we will develop these, or it's not even develop, reclaim. We will reclaim our mastery. And many of us are very big in the mastery of creation. It's like magic and miracles. There's a lot of that that's going to be showing up. Yeah, so this analogy of the drop in the bucket, and then as the bucket is filled, it overflows into a new reality. And that is what we are in the beginning parts of building that momentum for. What will come through strongly starting in this month of June is what is right, what is true, what is our true north. We'll be realigning to that if we haven't already, and we will see people around us doing that, following suit, seeking guidance. And this is how we come to creating our new earth. So you do it, I do it. We create a little collective group that connects to another collective group that becomes a bigger collective that tips it over into the collective, which then brings the planet into that. So we're returning to paradise, we're returning to our Edenic, and that's the process, this individuation of clearing, healing, purifying, and then bringing in the new, the higher, and then practicing coming back into mastery of the miracle making. Yeah, that's how we create our return to Eden, our return to paradise on earth. As you know, we're not leaving the earth, we're just creating a frequency shift, a frequency band that we will operate within, and then that frequency, when enough of us are there, we'll be aspecting higher frequencies. But initially, our collective work is in bringing the planet up to a fifth dimensional vibration and frequency. So you will likely be noticing expansion, and that expansion is happening through the spine. So we'll begin to be, you might be feeling more pain in the back as the stretching comes through that sort of the spine of your body, of our human bodies, and it shows up to me as like an expansion across the girth of the planet itself, through the expansion and movement of the tectonic plates. So this is the expansion that you would have heard me speak of quite a while ago, that Gaia talked of, that we would be having a lot of volcanic activity and earthquakes because of the expansion, and that we would witness that expansion through the ridge lines of the tectonic plates, if you like. Well, through this, where the tectonic plates meet. It's not all ridge lines. So, yeah, but it is in some places. And then remember that the portals, they are connected, they are also corrected, and they are open and they are pulsating. And so this is, if you like, the planet being restored to this pulsating, this breathing organism, this back to this enlivenment that we're all going through, right from the microbiological on the planet through to the planet itself. And this is all in readiness for these new and higher frequencies. So you'll remember that we spoke about that. I don't know when, but maybe last month, I think in May, I think that's I think it was March when we talked about the waters of consciousness coming in and the whales sounding those through all of the waterways. I think that was March. And then now we're into this new phase where it's coming through other aspects. So this expansion through the plates and this sort of breathing through the portals. So this greater understanding. Oh yeah, I have come to this greater understanding of what is happening. So we have been, and I know that many of you have this propensity. We've been reading the energies and we've been saying these things are happening, and then they have happened, but they've happened in an energetic bandwidth. But now we are in the happening in the physical bandwidth here in the physical plane of our existence. Yeah, and it's becoming very grounded, very tangible in our world. So in June, I want to say this is very occurring in the physical. That is in our physical bodies and that of the planet. This is in clarity. This is in truth, our own truth. What is our higher truth? What is our inner truth? Our purpose and mission for being here becoming more important, becoming more pertinent, more on the edge, greater urgency. So not necessarily an urgent striving. I don't sense that you're doing that. It's more there's a sense of urgency of it coming, that you know that it's going to become obvious, that the players in your part of the game are going to show up, that these arrangements of the groups and the souls that you are partnering with, connecting with, that they're going to show up. And it feels like, to me anyway, that the those who are in this awakened group, the first wave is, if you like, there's this deep sense of trust and knowing that this is divinely guided, divinely orchestrated, and we just have to be in our own readiness, do our own work, come into our own alignment, harmony, clearing, etc. And then it will all sort of click into place. Yeah. I want to say, while I'm here, before I go further, I want to talk about the divine masculine, because they are really going through their stuff at the moment. So there's a lot of, I want to say, anxiety. There's a lot of churning in their gut. So they are, it's like they're being pulled up by their bootstraps, but it's their own soul that's doing it. So they're really being brought to attention of their feminine qualities. So this sort of juggling back and forth between the logic and the, what they might call their irrational, dreamy self, that balancing act that they've been in is about to be front and center to the logical aspect being put to a lower level, a lower focus, a lower energetic. As they become more intuitive, more imaginative, they're starting to have more of an internal focus than an external, a recognition that what they do internally is reflected externally, and coming more into their emotional flow, their feminine aspect. So for them, for the masculine more so than the feminine, because in the main, the awakened feminine have already done this to quite a fine level, to quite a high degree, but the masculine are really starting to recognize their own truth. And so this is coming to them as epiphanies, it's coming to them in dream time, it's coming to them in their sort of daily lives, I guess. But their own truth, their higher truth, their inner truth, all of those are coming front and center to the masculine. Hello, Fiona. Welcome. So this is going to redirect and reorientate the divine masculine. So if you think about that, that's their role here in claiming back our earth, if you like, this reset, this rebirth. We're all taking a part in that. But the feminine, to me, the feminine have, cut the pathway through the jungle. They have pierced the veils. They've held that higher dimensional space, whilst the masculine have been grounded and in the physical. And now the masculine are going to be changing up the physical by their actions. It's a balancing act. It's our internal balancing act, and it's the external balancing act. We really function well when we're in balance and in harmony for ourselves. And then I believe in partnerships and in groups. I know that I'm not necessarily that I'm not in agreement with some others, and I'm okay with that. And you sit with it where you feel it's right, but I feel that we are designed to be in partnership, and that there are those of us who have chosen to do a lot of this alone, and there are those of us who have chosen to be in the setup of being alone to come into our higher alignment to then be in partnership. But I don't believe that partnership is a physical, earthly, lower dimensional notion. I believe that in the higher, that these higher connections have come in because this is a way of, well, this is what Gaia was showing me, this way of creating this love frequency that shifts the world. It's the X plus X equals 2X, right? But when these higher alignments come in, it's X times X to the power of 100. It's exponential, the love that's created. That's what those of you who know, because it's not a belief, it's a knowing, that you are in a twin arrangement, a twin union, a twin setup. Those of you who are that, you probably know that that's a part of your mission. So, there might be no other part to your mission either. Don't get too caught up with, well, what else am I going to do? Because what if that is it? What if it's holding this incredible high frequency of unconditional love to imprint and bring new imprints to the world? That's certainly a part of anybody who's in a divine counterpart. That's certainly a part of their mission, or of your mission, and of your joint mission as well. So we're in this redirection and reorientation from these things. So as I'm reading this list, check in with your physical body. Ask your body to tell you, to give you a signal. Is there anything here for you that needs to still be managed, cleared, healed? Any lower 3D truth that has arisen from programming and conditioning in the area of the familial, genealogical, cultural, anything from the mainstream media that may have programmed you without you realizing, anything that has come through the education system that needs to be cleared, healed. So just notice if your body's responded to any of those. Just make a little note. It's my read of the divine masculine that they are at the beginning of being able to express themselves, to be more innovative, and to be in the reorientation of service to others. And a lot of them have already done that, but the collective of the divine masculine is more in that sort of inner search of how it is, why they are here, to what is their contribution to the world. So the collective, I'm showing the collective is beginning to have these epiphanies, these aha moments. Are they seeing things? They're beginning to see things. They're beginning to have dreams and epiphanies and awakenings as to what is true. And that, I believe, is going to be matched by what comes out in the physical media, mainstream media. And that also applies to the divine masculines as well, all of this clarity of truth coming. So they are, the divine masculine, are in this general exploring and experiencing unsettled energies in the solar plexus beyond anxiety. Churning and gut-wrenching is how I would describe that. As their feelings become stronger and more aligned, more heart-centered, they will be redirected to the love that is their frequency match. So again, we're back to talking about frequency, maybe talking about octaves, maybe talking about piano keys. So a bit of change up in the physical this month is going to happen on some level for pretty much everybody. It started last month, but there's definitely this building of momentum in June. And everything gets placed on fast forward, I want to say. So this feeling today of a large movement of energy moving towards me, towards you, towards everyone, this movement towards the tipping point. It was like I could feel it coming. It wasn't foreboding. It was like a giant wave. And with frequencies we've never seen, felt, held here on the earth. So yeah, like I said before, like being sat overlooking the beach, watching the big wave begin to curl over and knowing that all the old will be washed away. But it's not in a destructive way. It's a wash. And then you, me, the advice, just to know you are receiving these angelic codes, these angelic frequencies. I want to say it's a time to be in the practice of knowing who you are, of breathing, of centering in your heart, of being in that place. So a few breaths, hands on your heart, breathing in, connecting into your heart, and then from there, sending a connection cord down into the earth through your feet, down through, grounding in, a few meters down. It's quite extraordinary, this accelerated energy. And we want to be like taking what we are receiving and putting it into the grid lines. That's what I want you to think about. So the grid lines, to me, the grid lines, they're the ley lines, the song lines, the dragon lines, the rainbow lines. If you want to look at it in a very physical way on the map, the axiotonal lines, the horizontal axis, the equatorial lines, the north-south directions, those are all of our ley lines, dragon lines, song lines, etc. And what we can be doing, what you can be doing, is deliberately, intentionally, you're breathing these into your body through your soul star above your head and down through your crown chakra, down through your body, out through your tailbone, into the ground between your feet. And on the out breath, be visualizing that you're sort of pushing it down with the out breath, down into the crust, in through the crust, and send it down 20 meters into the earth to connect into the grid lines from there. And then it can be sent out across the planet and other people can receive them as they walk, as they move, as they connect into the ground. And then for you, be in the practice of gratitude. We're in very powerful creative energies, and being in gratitude is a powerful way of connecting into those. Sit in each present moment, state things as though you already have them. connected into your own heart, connected into nature, grounded into Gaia. Use that as your daily practice. See that really your role, if you like, here on the earth right now is that. And it's a simple practice, and if we all do it, it will have a bigger impact. And yeah, it's going to be momentous, this June receipt of things showing up in the physical. So that's me. And I wish you a beautiful day and a wonderful, amazing month of June. And I want to thank you for being here holding space with me. And I want to remind you that the God Goddess course is available if you are interested. It's starting in July. It's advertised in the link under this YouTube platform. I think it is. And you can find it on my Facebook page as well. And you can find it in the community board on YouTube. So that's a 10-week course looking at embodiment of the God Goddess codes and qualities. And so for me, I feel that will be really good preparation for all of us as we move into this time of really reconnecting to those aspects of self. And then also remember that the dolphin trip, if that excites you, if that turns your heart and sparks you up, that the dolphin trip is on. And same, you'll find some things on the website. On my Facebook page around that. But I'll do a better job of making. I think the Goddess course is also on my website, but the dolphin trip is on my Facebook page. So my website, if you don't know, is sharonmartin.com. Yeah, so if any of those, if you feel drawn to any of those, there's only 20 places on the God Goddess course, and 4 of those have already been taken. It hasn't updated correctly, but 4 of those have already been taken. So yeah, if that pulls you, then go and do something about that. And yeah, so much love from my heart, and thank you for the work that you're doing here on the planet. I'll see you again soon. Thank you, Joe. Grateful for you to be here too.